Continue to let people in as they come, but it is 10:02 Central, and I must let you guys know, first of all, I want to welcome you to the 4th monthly Worthy Rally for Hope and Kindness. This is, I was telling the speakers backstage that if you feel like you're going to pass out, throw up, or are completely nervous, that's completely normal, because we are all about being vulnerable today and being strong and telling our stories, owning who we are so we can spread it to others to be courageous. So if we can touch one of you today with a story to make you feel like, okay, it's not just me, I'm not all alone in this, they actually feel this way as well, then we've done our job, because you're not alone. We're all human, first and foremost. We are all heartbeats, first and foremost. We have actually, I think, more things in common than we have things that are not in common, even though we all may come from different backgrounds, experiences, whatever you say. But I think at the end of the day, we all have emotions, and we all feel like we want to belong somewhere and that we're okay. So this is the place that I want you to feel safe in, that you do belong, you are okay. And there's many, many communities out there I'm grateful for that have made me feel that way, which have given me the courage to do this. One of them is Humans First. There's Chris also does one for humanity. There's so many of you that does wonderful things that I want to thank all of you for giving me that extra piece of courage to follow my passion and do my thing too. So I hope in return, I want to give that courage to others. And I must warn you that my audio goes in and out. So if you lose me during the session, the show will go on. The speakers know their order. They know how to keep going. So I will communicate via chat if I lose you, but we will keep going. One thing I wanted to mention, I had the honor, one story that I want to share today is I had the honor to attend a Stephen DeSadie show. I don't know if you know who he is. If you don't, look him up. He's from Australia, and he has these wonderful soul opening shows, and there's links to my LinkedIn. But he asked me these really tough questions, and you go in there with a question and he kind of re-examines you and takes it apart. And my question was, I'm building all these communities. I have one, this one right here, that it's the 4th month I do this. I have one on Twitter called Dare to Be, which I've been doing for 6 years. I have 2 other communities, and I just keep doing them because I love seeing people's eyes light up. I love seeing people feel happy, live their passion, share their stories, and just feel like it's cool to be me. And I don't get paid for it. I don't go out of my way to advertise them. I just do them. And I asked him, why me? Why do I keep doing this? Why? And his answer to me was, why do you have to know? It's not about you. Most people think life is about them, but it's really about others. It's about you showing up, and perhaps, they needed to hear that one word today that made them think differently, that made them not feel like their life is over. So you never know who you're going to touch. So it was a real eye-opening to me, because it's not about me. It's about all of you guys and all of the people that you're going to touch and spread it forward, because you just never know who that's going to be and who needs to hear those words or that phrase or that smile or see your presence. And he's just like, just keep going. Don't feel like you have to do this. Know that you have to do this. It's a commitment. So I thought that was really powerful. And it really made me rethink why I do this. It's not about who shows up. It's not about, I wish I had more time to promote it, but it's just about doing it and see who you can touch for the day. I'm not going to say the name, but I had one speaker tell me that they were so, this was such a good experience for them, actually writing and thinking about what they're going to be talking about. Like it's following their passion, following their destiny. And I was just like, whoa, that alone is amazing. So sometimes we have expectations for ourselves or expectations of what we think we're doing, and there's other things that come out of it that you may not realize that that's the real expectation. So I just want to leave you with that. Today we are, as always, so our speakers are going to be sharing moments of courage, moments of defying the odds, moments of extreme vulnerability, some hard moments, some moments of accomplishments, inspiration, strength. It's not always going to be easy. So if you see someone that's maybe struggling or maybe getting emotional, or maybe if you feel like you are relating to what they are saying, all I say is to do this little heart symbol. Because remember, we are all, again, heartbeats, or you can do the virtual, more modern way, which is what Chance did. Yes, and Garry, yes. Whichever you prefer. Just to show, I hear you, I support you, keep going, you're doing great, or thank you. So I invite you to do that, to share the love, to share the kindness. Are we ready to go? Each speaker is going to get about 7 to 10 minutes. I'm not going to interrupt them because some of these stories will be quite powerful. So they know to keep their time. And I will introduce each one if I have audio. If not, they will keep going. All right. So let's go. My first speaker is Nancy John. Nancy and I got acquainted through Humans First Club, which is if you haven't heard of it yet, it's a wonderful, wonderful organization that actually gave me the courage to do what I'm doing today. And actually, a side note, I have a Humans First shirt. I have always worn this Humans First shirt since the beginning, the first rally that I've had, because it gives me courage. I have things over it sometimes, but I always wear it, so it's a tradition. So Humans First is a lot of why I'm here, because it gave me the courage. So Nancy, I've met most of the speakers today on there. And Nancy is an inspiration. She had these wonderful ideas of how to expand her network and expand her reach. And she was looking into things that I wish I had the courage to do, like a podcast and so forth. And just everything always that comes out of her is always so perfectly phrased and speaks to me. And I really admire that about you, Nancy. And I feel like I've had a connection with you since I first met you. So I'm so thrilled you're here.
Thank you, Andrea. I'm super excited to be here. There's a lot of familiar faces here, so I'm happy to see familiar faces and to also meet some new ones. So thank you for having me. I kind of Andrea has it's part of gave us some guidance, which is awesome. Guidance is always helpful to me to be like, what do you want us to do on here? So, and so a little bit about myself. So I'm the owner and co-founder of Seed Leadership. It's a business that I started last year. Focuses all about building future leaders. And that's kind of where through Humans First, Andrea and I got connected. I am a wife, a sister, a daughter, a friend. I'm Canadian, but not interested in hockey. I am a yoga practitioner who loves UFC. So I tell people you can see that I'm definitely a believer in both and. So these kind of paradoxes can exist in one person. So when, reason for me being here, I would say first and foremost is because Andrea asked me. And just as Andrea mentioned, I agree with her. I feel like she and I just had a connection. Some people you speak with and you meet with and you just have a connection with them right away. And that's how I felt when Andrea and I first spoke. And I mean, for all of you who know her, she's wonderful. I have a lot of respect for her. There's something that Andrea had shared with me in one of our earlier conversations, and she really talked about her belief that everybody has a story. And she said something that really rung true with me. She said, your story does not depend on the size of your audience. And that was a big aha for me, to be, sometimes we wait to be like, how many people can I influence? She's like, well, it doesn't really matter. Like your story still has worth. It does not depend on your audience. And so even the idea of journaling became a form of storytelling. And it was so powerful for me and such an aha moment that helped me in my own development. So when we were asked to come on today, I think the other piece that really drew me here was the mission that Andrea is looking to do through here, which is about spreading kindness. And I was like, oh yeah, of course, like that's something that speaks to me as well. So I was happy to be here. So when we talk about, what's inspired you, story of courage, all these things for 2020, I'm sure it applies to all of you. 2020 has had a lot for me. A lot has happened, a lot's going on. And so I was really having a difficult time going, well, what's the story? Because there's so much to tell. And I didn't know where to go. And so I thought perhaps the best way I could share what I wanted to share was to do it in lessons. Like, what are my top 10 lessons so far in 2020? And so that's what I would love to share with all of you. And these lessons really capture my journey. And my hope is that then they become a source of encouragement for anyone who's listening in. So I'll go through my top 10 lessons. Lesson number 1, I don't know is a worthy answer. Lesson number 2, have less opinions about things I know nothing about. Lesson number 3, believe that God is love because we shape our God and then our God shapes us. Number 4, justice and reconciliation precede peace. Number 5, scarcity is contagious. You can stop the spread. So connected to that, number 6, you don't need 100 rolls of toilet paper. Number 7, see Christ in everyone. Number 8, sometimes everything is not okay. Number 9, action matters, love matters more. And number 10, you are loved. And so these are my lessons learned so far in 2020. And I really hope that it is a source of encouragement or source of curiosity, a source of just discovery for anybody that I'm able to share it with. And I want to thank Andrea and all of you for giving me the space to be able to share.
Wow, can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. You need to publish those lessons.
Okay, I will do that.
You certainly do, because I was like, I need to take notes on this. So yeah, you need to publish those lessons. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Nancy.
Thanks, Andrea.
Next, we have Chance. Chance, I also met through Humans First. And I was fortunate enough to be in Humans First. We break out in breakout rooms to have discussions. And Chance, I was lucky to be in several of the breakout rooms with him. And from the very beginning, there was something about him. He just thinks so differently, but that's what makes him powerful in his words. And he just, I could really relate to a lot of things he was saying, and he comes from a place that's real. And I really feel like he had some story, and he has a story that he probably needs to share and that I would love to hear. And I can't wait to hear what you have to say, Chance. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much for having me here. Just so everyone knows, the joke about someone throwing up was me, because I did not decide what I was going to talk about until about 5 minutes ago. I had something written down, but I want to hear what other people are saying so that I can understand a little bit better. So about me, my name is Chance, Fat Chance, Slim Chance, No Chance in Hell. If you can find one I have never heard before, I will buy you a drink. I have not bought a drink in about 15 years. So back then it was, a soda, but still nobody's gotten any of that. My story is weird, and 7 to 10 minutes is not enough to give you what that really is. But no, I come from, humble beginnings. I was homeless twice before I was 24 years old. I really struggled to kind of get where I'm at. Luckily, I have a fantastic wife that reset my trajectory. And when I was asked to come here, of course, first and foremost, I wanted to be here because I was asked. That's the power that we have of each other. We can ask. That's something that we don't think of as a superpower, but it is. I try to live my life by the words, you don't know until you ask, or the answer is always no until you ask. So that ask, that request, that hit me. Anyone that has that guts and ready to go for it, I'm with them instantly. The other reason I am here is for my wife and my kids. When I hear about the rally for hope and kindness, the first thing I think of is my kids. I have 3 kids, 2 little girls and a little boy. And forever, I just had 2 little girls. And all I could think of is, how is this world going to be better for my kids? How is this going to be better for my little girls? As the notorious Ruth Bader Ginsburg has passed away, my heart dropped because I know somebody that was looking for equality, looking to take care of people, isn't in the world anymore. And even just saying that, I have not said that out loud. I just got super big goosebumps because that's powerful. And I listen to my body. When I feel that I've said something or I've heard something and I get goosebumps, I go, oh crap, that's something to be paying attention to right now. I've also started to develop a little bit of a new understanding of the world in 2020, as we all have. I mean, I buy Costco toilet paper. I don't need to buy 20 Costco toilet papers. Um, but I'm starting to see my world in a different way. All I talk about all day, every day is leadership, team building, how we come together. My wife jokes that she deserves an honorary bachelor's, and she's probably right. Because everything I have said to anyone else goes through my wife and my kids first. My 5-year-old can talk about emotional intelligence and being self-aware and managing their relationships. Because leadership does start at home. It starts about where we are. And I kind of want to put that in context of an event that I had earlier this year. As we were having the protest for Black Lives Matter and police brutality, I was asked to be at a conference and lead a workshop on leadership. And the question was from a bunch of nonprofits, how do I make my board see the value of diversity? How do I make my board? How do I make my board? And I'm going to be honest, race is something I'm a little bit uncomfortable with. I come from a small mountain town with a bunch of loggers. I could be this much democratic and I'm totally out of my element. So when I think about race, it's somewhere I have to go, I haven't experienced that. How do I have context to talk about it? I don't, but I try. So as we were in this conversation and they were talking about race and talking about diversity and equity, I missed what they said. I missed the important thing that meant that they weren't paying attention to themselves. How do I make my board? The second they said the word make, I should have stopped the conversation. Leadership, true leadership is not about making anyone do anything else. That is not how this works. We have changed and mutated the meaning of the word leadership. I don't even like the word leadership anymore because we've said this is a position of leadership. No, it's not. That's a position in an organization. Your leadership is something you were bestowed. It is like being called a person of virtue, a leader. That is an honorarium. That is something somebody gifts to you. That is powerful. I refuse to say, I'm a leader. I'm not. I try to live that life. I try to live a life that will make my kids and wife proud. And I fail, and that's fine because I know that they're still going to be there for me at the end of the day. So when I think about hope and kindness, I think about what we can do. And it's not about everybody else. I'm sure that we're going to have some people talk about what we can do together. And I agree, that is the next step, 100%. Step one is me. Step one is you're me, whatever that is. So I know that as we were going through the protests and whatnot, I realized what I was doing is not enough. I know that leadership is an action. Leads. I lead. That means I have to do. So what I'm doing in this world has to be more than what it is. And I still don't know what that is. Maybe it's I go out and start doing stuff for Habitat for Humanity. I'm in a state that's pretty well locked down, and I'm okay with not being around people with COVID. So going and doing the rally and protest, I don't feel like I can do that and not keep my family safe. But this morning, my sister shared Seth Rogen, the comedian, the writer. He posted up on his Facebook page, Black Lives Matter. If you have any problem with this statement, feel free to get off my page. And then he must have had his morning coffee, because he sat there for about an hour, and anyone that said anything different, he just told them F off. Get the F out, F you, F this. He was ready to go because he knew what he was standing for. He knew what he was going to act for. So as we go through our day, I want to ask you, what are you going to act for? What is your change? That's what Seth did today. What are you going to do today? There is a philosophy that keeps me up at night. It has for about 5 years, and I want to share that with you as my final thought today. It's the philosophy of the two deaths. So anyone that's talked to me might have heard this before. Anybody? Okay. The philosophy of the two deaths is that we each die twice in this world. Once when our body gives up and we're no longer there. The second is the last time someone says our name. I live my life worried about that second time. The first time is scary, but I know that's coming. I know that it's going to happen, and that's fine. That second time, that's the important one. Whether I write books, whether I do videos, whether what I do is on the internet forever and ever. That's the last time someone says my name keeps me up at night, because I wonder how they're going to say it. How are my kids going to say my name for the last time? How are my grandkids going to say my name for the last time? I've been a grouchy guy for a long time. I don't want my kids to say he was a good dad, but he was a rat bastard. I have seen that. I have heard that in my family. As you go through your life, as you lead, as you be a person of action, and you look to change this world, how do you want your name said for the last time? I want it to be someone who was kind. I want that to be someone who's full of hope, because if I didn't have hope, I would already be in the corner crying. It is a scary world, and if it wasn't for hope, I don't know where we would be. Love and hope, that's where this world can go, and that's where it can be. See, I've told that philosophy, the two deaths, so many times, I feel sick every time I say it, because it is that important. We're not living for today. We're not even living for ourselves most of the time. We're now living for our loved ones, our kids, our future. What is that going to be? I don't know. But when I look at the people in this room, the people that I know have been doing good work, I'm excited to see what that future is. Thank you very much.
Wow, Chance. You guys hear me? Sound check. Okay. Wow, Chance. So many good nuggets. Step one is me. I highlighted it all over my paper. That blew me away. Thank you, Chance. I can't believe you just thought of all that like just a couple minutes before. That's the brilliance of Chance. Thank you very much. Next, we have Michelle. Michelle is such a dear, sweet, kind lady. I met her through another wonderful community that meets on Saturday mornings. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to join those, but it's a overcoming odds kind of community. My friend Oleg and Brian lead that one, and it's amazing. It's heartfelt conversations as well. And Michelle is just a very genuine, kind, as I mentioned again, person. And I always was very in awe of her realness and her courage to share her struggles, but also to keep going, to show others that you have the strength to keep going. So I'm so honored to have you here, Michelle. Welcome.
Thanks. And I'm thrilled to be here. She said, my name is Michelle, and I am a mom, a wife, a middle school teacher in special education, a reading specialist, an IPEC coach, an ADHD coach, a survivor and thriver of a lot of things, and a seeker always of meaning and hope. And I'm honored to be a speaker here because I believe and know that kindness through words and actions and simple presence can change lives. And I want to share some examples of that. The words and action, words matter so much. A single word can affect our heart rate and our blood pressure, or it can make us smile and make our hearts sing. Words and actions can heal, and I've spent my life dedicated to learning to communicate more productively with those around me, and to help those around me communicate more productively in ways that say what needs to be said without being disparaging or harmful. We can all think of examples of words that wounded us and words that lifted us. My first experience with words were largely scary. We were verbally eviscerated in my house over even tiny things, a water spot around the sink basin, a door left ajar. There were lists of, my dad kept lists of things we had done wrong that were brought out with each transgression. There were alcoholic rants and rages at us and at neighbors and at short-term friends. At once as a teen, I was left at the airport and locked out of the house because I didn't want to take the elevator because I kept getting stuck that year. There were other worse abuses. And I'm here and thriving, yay. There was a lack of language provided to my parents to help me deal with being adopted and no place to process it. I wasn't allowed questions, and I turned that pain into a big gift, which is seeing the value and beauty in every single person, because who knew who could be my family of birth, when my story started? Who knew where the origins, what was going on there? And the saving part, there were times when my mother reminded me what a good person I am, and she told me she was proud and she made time for me. And those moments saved me in my childhood. And the lesson that I took out of that all was to be better, not bitter. And that's kind of the theme that I work at every day. So another challenge I experienced was I lost 2 sons to a genetic disorder that I didn't know I carried. And the kindest thing that was said to me was by a friend who just said, Michelle, I don't know what to say, but I'm here for you. The unkindest thing that happened was that a total stranger sent us a letter in my city. He had seen the obituary for my son, and he enclosed about 5 Bible passages for me to ponder, because it was time for me to think upon my sins and repent, because it was my fault that this had happened to me. And both of those things were very powerful in my life. In my professional life, I'm privileged to work with adolescents. I've had many a student arrive broken from school failures and or family challenges. One in particular was slated to go to a program for kids with emotional disturbances in our state. And he came to our school for learning disabilities as a last chance. And of course, the first day he punched somebody at recess. And rather than punish him immediately, we asked what was going through his mind. And we discovered that he had a language processing problem and he could not intuit social cues and facial expressions well. He was not emotionally disturbed. And over the course of 3 years with language therapy and coaching, that kid blossomed. And I have many stories like this. Acceptance, discussion, and calm can change their experiences. I see you're having a hard time right now does wonders. Connection and compassion are key, and it only takes often one adult to save a kid. Our presence matters. For me, they were kind guidance counselors at my high school, and I spent a lot of time in their office crying. They found out about my home life because my father was raising the roof and being demanding about how they weighted and calculated class GPA, of all things. And I found that pain shared is pain cut in half. As an adult, I discovered there was magic in groups of supportive people who just listen. Therapy helped me heal intellectually. The community of others helped me heal my heart because I felt like less of an anomaly. And when people say, I see you or I get it, shame starts to lift. I've grown and watched others grow through safe sharing. So often people don't need a lecture, they just need to be heard. Your greatest gift is your presence. And I've met a couple of adults who used drugs as a teen and stopped when a caring adult just started spending time with them. At work, when we have kids who are melting down, we sit quietly nearby and wait for it to finish before we inquire and problem solve with them. Assume that everyone's trying their best. No kid wakes up in the morning and says, I want to get into trouble all day and be a huge pain. It's the same with adults. No one wishes for addictions and homelessness or incarceration. So I looked over a handful of studies before I prepared this to talk about this, and I reviewed them all and decided not to bore you with the specifics, but they basically boil down to the same thing. Kindness is key and the most significant characteristic of thriving relationships. And relationships matter and are the biggest predictor of happiness. So I pondered Andrea's question about what we can do to make the world a better place. And I came up with a few things. First of all, we can be kind to ourselves first. Allow yourself to be human. Allow all of the emotions that you have. And live by the words, tomorrow is a fresh start. Listen and validate others. If you don't know what else to say, yes, that must have been hard. My pet peeve currently happens to be the pain Olympics online. It's like, you aren't allowed to have pain because my pain's bigger than yours. Just listen, don't judge, and understand that success means different things to different people and honor all of it. However, this does not mean be a doormat, nor a people pleaser or fixer of others. Offer truth bombs and directness from a place of personal centeredness and let the facts land on their own. I was a school administrator. I had to drop a lot of truth bombs. When we can't be responsible for other people, how they respond. Being direct or offering a truth bomb can be the kindest thing you do for someone because it does no one any favors to allow crappy behavior or harmful things to continue. Hold your boundaries, release relationships that aren't working, and when needed, let it fly. Just try kindness first. Keep in mind that people often act from a place of pain and try not to take things too personally. Offer a kind word or a hand up to someone or some words of encouragement. It goes a long way. Do a little to repair the tears in the community, even if it's just holding a door for someone or offering a warm smile. Help people feel welcome. We're caretakers of this earth and society. We are stewards of goodness, love, dignity, justice, mercy, and the hearts of one another. Connect with one another and handle with care. And in the words of Anne Frank, in the long run, the sharpest weapon of all is a kind and gentle spirit. And I wish everybody love, and that's it for me.
Big hug, Michelle. That was beautiful. I can tell it came from the heart, and lots of strength there. Lots of moments that we can all, whether we want to share it or not, we can relate to. And you opened that door for us to feel like we're not the only ones feeling that way. So thank you for that. Really appreciate it. Next we have Garry. So Garry, before I met Garry, I know Garry and I have been trying so back and forth so long to connect, and we finally did a couple weeks ago. But before I met Garry, I kept hearing from people, you have to meet Garry, Gary's amazing. Oh, Gary's speaking at this event, you must go. I'm like, oh my gosh, Gary's a superstar that I just really need to get to know. And but it's, all kidding aside, it's how he touches people, it's his words, it's what he stands for, that I soon began to realize that this is a person I want to know more about. I realized and learned later that he was instrumental to making this humans first community that I speak of a lot, what it is today. He's a key player, and I'm so grateful to know Garry and finally had a chance to meet with him. And everything they say is true. And I'm more than honored to have him speak today. I'm so happy you're here, Garry. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Andrea. Can you hear me okay? Is everything okay? Okay, perfect. Can I pay you $20 later on? Like, that's probably the best intro I've ever had in my life. It's ridiculous. Thank you very much. But look, in all sincerity, thank you for the invitation today. As you say, I know some of you, don't know some of you, so thank you for the welcome. And let's connect afterwards. Anyone that I'm not connected to, I'd love to connect with you afterwards. I'd really like to start with, like Michelle, like Nancy Michelle Chance. You've blown me away already. But I want to start actually by stealing some of your wonderful words, Michelle. Acceptance, discussion, and calm can change experiences. Wow. Wow. Like, I don't need to say anything for another 7 minutes. Like that's just gripped me by the heart. Because what I'm going to speak about is, it took me 39 years to realize that our human experience actually is inside out. It's not actually causal by the world that's outside of us. And it took me 39 years to realize actually that there's a lot more influence that we have on the world outside of us, but we give that power away way too easily and way too often and very innocently. There's no judgment in that. And what I really want to speak about is how I've tried to step a bit more into that power. And one of the ways I've tried to do that, in case it's helpful for people today. But before I go into that, like, who is Garry? After that lovely introduction, again, thank you, Andrea. So I used to do the whole, I'm an international sales guy, I care about people, you know, the old business card introduction. And I've tried to get away from that, as Nancy so beautifully describes. You know, at the end of the day, I'm a guy, I'm a husband, stepped down to 3 beautiful kids. And we now have this lovely new baby cockapoo, which is absolutely bonkers. It's my first full child from it being born. And I tell you what, bonkers. So I empathize with anyone that has kids. But for me personally, I'm a big believer in humans. I'm driven by trying to make the world a more inclusive place. And I absolutely believe that vulnerability is a strength. And I'll speak a little bit about that shortly. And why am I here today? Andrea, and to reinforce his Chance's message, you asked. You put the ask out, and like, a better question would be, like, why wouldn't I? Why would I not be here with you and all these amazing humans talking about hope and kindness? Like, so thank you for the invitation. And I think as well, I've always had a firm belief, like you, Andrea, that, and it's not always easy to keep this, that if you reach one person, it's worth doing. So I've got a podcast that I've had for the last 2.5 years, and the number of times that you lose that sight and actually go, yeah, but I'm not getting the feedback, and I'm going to be very vulnerable. I was in this space the last 3 months. Like, how do I know it's reaching someone? How do I know it's working? And very innocently, what I realized is that was seeking that outside validation. Like, how many likes do I need? How many shares do I need of my podcast? Where's someone telling me that it's good? Like, and in my head, I was saying, I'm not seeking validation. Like, I've done that work. I've done it the last 5 years. I know that I don't seek validation. But innocently, very innocently, like a little step, I was going back onto that validation outside of me track. So it really resonated. I've listened to the first 3 speakers about that. And I'm going to talk a bit more about vulnerability, but I cannot emphasize enough for anyone that may be on their own personal development journey, or maybe dealing with some challenges and trying to find that hope in a difficult world right now. Do go inside. It's not always easy. Sometimes it's dark, sometimes it's light. But one of the things I've learned the most the last 5 years is when you start inside, there's a lot more to explore, but it's not always obvious because it's not what we've been taught. You know, the education system, our parental systems, the last 100 years, it's all been about, and this is my track, so I'll go into a bit. So my first 39 years were chase the car, get the job title, find the wife, have the nice family, and hopefully when you're 65, you'll have enough breath in your body to make the most of the last 5 years. Like, what the hell? Like, what is that system? Tell me what that system is, people. Please tell me. And it's just like, so I'm really grateful that I woke up from that. I'm not saying I'm woke, because I'm definitely not that. I awakened. It's a different thing. And what I just found really powerful is that when I realized, the weird thing is, it took me having everything that my version of success was that I'd learnt behavior, which was 6-figure salary, nice car, you know, posh job title. And I had it all 5 years ago, and I was hollow. I felt absolutely empty. Like, and I didn't realize at the time that was my soul speaking. Like, so I'm not actually a religious person, but I believe in there's something that's wrapping all of us energetically in the world. And that was something at that time saying to me, Garry, there's more than you just chasing this stuff outside of you. And that started me on this crazy journey of exploration, going inside. And what I'm now at, which seems such a crazy thing, as one of the white guys on the screen, is I'm so deeply passionate about social justice. I am so deeply passionate about building inclusive organizations and an inclusive world. And not just because it's the right thing to do, because it's innate. Like nobody, like I genuinely believe that we don't come into this world excluded. We learn how to exclude. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't exclude. Sometimes there's toxicity, if there's like bad behavior, you know, we need boundaries. And that's one of the learnings I'd like to leave with you, because I still struggle with this, is setting healthy boundaries. So I'm big on inclusion, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't exclude if there's people that are trolling, or they're bringing you down, or they're just evil. So I find it difficult to manage sometimes this human experience. So I call it the tightrope of human experience. Imagine walking 100,000 feet up in the air, and you've got your little, oh, yeah, I'm with it. No, I'm not. Oh, I'm with it. Oh, no, I'm not. Because, and I feel the same about inclusion, exclusion. Because I believe that inclusion is innate. We come into the world included, but we learn how to exclude. And sometimes we need to exclude. But my invitations for everyone who's with us, who's kindly sparing time today, is, are you conscious of when you exclude and when you include? Because I haven't always been that way. And I'll share a very open and vulnerable example, is that until 3 years ago, and I don't want to trigger anybody at the moment around inclusion, so I'm going to talk a little bit about race for my last few minutes. So I just want to let you know in advance, in case you want to mute, or maybe it's something you're not quite ready to deal with at the moment. So I just want to give you a trigger warning for the next few minutes. So 3 years ago, very innocently, I would see people cut across the highway in the UK, 3 lanes, and my automatic learned bias was, it's an Asian woman driver. There she goes again. Ridiculous. Like, there was no logic in that. There was no evidence of that. And then on the other side, oh, white van men. I don't know about in the US, but like white van men in the UK is like another stereotype. Big white van, transit driver. Oh, cutting up everyone on the highway. Oh, another white van. So it seems really innocent, like silly little like comment. But if we layer up those biases over years, they start to become our default view on the world. And what I found myself having to do the last couple of years is be really conscious about, and I'm always working on it, like, what are my biases? Because we've all got them. There's no judgment in that. We've all got them, but are we conscious of them? And can we call ourselves out and those around us when they show up? So another one that comes up for me at time is, that's politically correct, which is one of the best catch-alls for I don't want to do the work on dealing with this little bit of racism I've got inside of me. So like, just think about the next time you say, oh, that's politically correct, what are you actually saying about the situation? So these are all little microaggressions or micro incivilities that we can just become more conscious of. And what I want to go towards is one of my biggest learnings before some more invitations is, so I've been diving in with Mike Vacanti, who's the founder of Humans First. So he and I have been diving into these truly human conversations, because when George Floyd was murdered, I cried for 3 days. He's not the first black man to be murdered. Why did I cry for 3 days? It's because I felt it. Pandemic, we were going so much slower. I wasn't running at 100 miles an hour. I wasn't just jumping on planes. So that life became a real life rather than just another statistic. And what I found particularly tough as I then acknowledged that was, oh my God. Oh my God, like this world that I thought was equitable, that we all had an equal chance to thrive, isn't set up that way. And then this makes me come back to the point about inclusion, exclusion, is what can we do? And I loved Chance's talk as well, because he really speaks a lot to this, is what can we do? It doesn't have to be game changing. Like, I'm a terrible, like, big picture thinker. I'm like, I want to save the world. I can see everything joining up. Why don't we do it tomorrow? And then 2 weeks later, I'm just like, oh, my impact doesn't mean anything. And again, looking for outside validation. And what I found a lot of peace with over the last few months is creating these truly human conversations with Mike, where we bring intentionally diverse people, so black, brown, you know, white together, just to talk about what is your experience of life. And it's not because one's better or one's worse, it's just literally, and this is really interesting for me, is being inclusive means intentionally stepping into difference. So I completely agree with, I loved Andrea's opening statement, we're more similar than we are different. But what is completely different is every one of our 7.8 billion lived experiences. No two are the same. So chemically, humanity-wise, we are exceptionally similar. I think it's something like 99%. It's only the last percent that gives us how we look differently. But every one of us on this screen, every 23 of us, have got separate lived experiences. You cannot put that in a box. You cannot go white, black, transgender, you know, come from Chicago. Like, so my invitation to all of us is, it takes time. It takes intentionality. But every time you feel that bias kick in, or that, oh God, I'm busy, let me just take a quick shortcut to whatever I need to be doing next. Just give yourself a breath and go, what's behind that? What is behind that desire to rush and just, because what I found with these discussions is, and I want to share another super vulnerable thing as I start to wrap up. As I've been gone on this journey since the murder of George Floyd, and really realizing that the systems are weighted against people of color and minorities, and they are. It's not just our thinking, because I've really struggled again with, there's a lot of stuff out there around mind, consciousness, thought. You know, we create our reality through our thinking, and we do at one level. Like right now, each one of us are creating our reality, what we think, our stories, etc. But once you're in the real world, in the world of form, having conversations, taking a loan out, trying to get a job, that's where the real system stuff does actually exist. So it's far easier for me to get a loan than it is for some people of color, just because of where they live or their background or their demographic. That is the truth, and we have to deal with that hard truth. But what can we do to try and improve that is to have great environments like Andrea's creating here, and us hopefully just take away one little nugget from each of the speakers that we can then go and practice. Because it's not about being perfect. It's about doing enough, and enough is showing up for me. Being vulnerable, learning, trying to just make a difference bigger than yourself in your local community, being a good parent. And I loved how this is starting at home. So I just want to wrap up. And I've gone, just so you know, Andrea, I followed chance. Like, I had a really clear script, and I don't know where I've gone the last 7 minutes. So I'm going to wrap up with the thing that I do want to leave is some real invitations, which I did make a note of. I love the title of this summit. You are worthy. Every single one of us on this screen is worthy. We don't need validation. We don't need things outside of us. We don't need to be told. We are innately worthy. You are enough. And also, this is important because this is quite a new learning for me. We focus so much on mental and physical health. We forget too often emotional and spiritual health. So have a think about that as you go into the rest of your Sunday. Where do you, if you look at those 4 different elements of our human experience, which ones are you focusing most on? And again, there's no judgment in that. It's just being conscious. I didn't focus on any spiritual health until 2 years ago. And my life's so much better for doing that. And the last couple of things is be critical, and someone else mentioned this, be critical about who you spend your time with. Set those boundaries. It's hard. Like, I don't spend time with the friends that I used to spend a lot of time with 10 years ago. They're good people. They've got their life to lead, but they are not, I'm not able to fuel their growth, and they're not able to fuel mine. But I'm still at the end of the phone for them. We're just not at that level anymore. And finally, please, please, please remember, change is an inside job. Go inside. It's not always easy, but that's where the growth comes from. That's where your amplification of the difference you're going to make in the world comes from. But we're all there to walk that journey with you. So thank you. I hope there's something in that randomness for you, Andrea and everyone. But thanks for your time.
That was amazing. Thank you so much, Garry. So many great nuggets. I'm starting to see a theme here by all the speakers. Step one is with me, be kind to yourself first. Start inside, change is an inside job. It's like you guys rehearsed all together, but you didn't. And that's pretty powerful. I'm so thankful to know you, Garry, and I loved everything you shared. Thank you. Next is Monique. So Monique is a very, very dear friend. It was her birthday yesterday, so perhaps maybe sing to her. She's like, please no, I'm already nervous enough. But I met Monique, I want to say like, God, is it 2 years ago already? I don't remember, but we both worked at this another company as consultants, and sometimes we wondered why life brought us in that direction. Now we've moved on to different things, but I was thinking more and more as like life brought me in that direction to meet Monique. She is one of the kindest people I know, but also she has like a really pure heart of gold, and her insights they blow me away. She really gets it. She really gets what it is to put humans first, to put people first. So I'm so thankful to have met her in this journey called life, and we've now become really good friends. So I'm so honored. You've been here since the very beginning of the rallies, Monique, and I'm so honored to have you.
Well, I have to say it's first off, it's very difficult. I have yet to make it through one of one of Andrea's rallies without crying, and this one is no exception. And I will probably, as I move through what I have to say today, there will probably be more tears. So I apologize in advance. I'll do my best. After Andrea's wonderful opener and following these amazing speakers, if I didn't feel like throwing up earlier, I certainly do now. So I'd like to thank Andrea and everyone that came before me. So if I disappear for a second, luckily I'm outside. And my what I have to talk about today follows a lot of what everyone else has said. I mean, there are your themes do carry through through my discussion as well. So I'm just looking at the time. Okay. So first, I'd like to thank my incredible host and amazing friend, Andrea, for sharing so much of these past few months and being such a sounding board for me. She's an incredible source of inspiration and a huge part of my support system. And I couldn't do any of the things I'm doing without her. So thank you very much. Thank you also for inviting me to share my story with the incredible souls on this call. I mean, there are some just amazing people, and introducing me to a whole new world of people and real people, not just people for the sake of people. I've always been one to have a small group of friends just because I don't really naturally connect with the masses, but those that I do connect with, I have strong ties with. So my tribe is smaller, but it's much more, it's stronger. So I found that I have that connection with everyone on these calls. So I guess maybe my tribe's growing, but they are genuine connections because these people are just absolutely incredible. And I never would have found them had it not been for you, Andrea. So thank you. Okay. So like many others who are now in Andrea's Rally Hall of Fame, when she asked me 2 months ago to be a part of this panel, like all of you, I immediately said yes, because Andrea asked, and we're all there for each other. And I wanted to support her cause and open myself up to a new opportunity, which makes me extremely uncomfortable But I know that that kind of helps personal growth and also helps others when they hear your story. So I'm not one that likes the spotlight. I don't like talking about myself or some of the things that I've gone through. So I'm a very private person, so I'm extremely uncomfortable right now. So I'm just gonna push forward. So I admit that I had some heart palpitations and thought, what is my story? What am I going to talk about? How can I make an impact? What's so special about anything that I've gone through or have to say or think that, you know, hasn't been expressed before? And I guess maybe it's just a little bit of reinforcement and reiteration of what everyone else has said, that yes, we all are in this together and we all have that common bond of going through things, but not going through them the same way. But we all have stories. So when I first started bouncing ideas off of Andrea, I mentioned that, as she said, this event was taking place the day after my birthday. And at the time I was like, aha, I've got great things that I think maybe I can say. I thought this would be a good time to start fresh and put together a sort of New Year's resolution plan. The journey I'm about to share with you is definitely a personal one. And for the first time in my life, personally and professionally, I'm not really sure where it's going to lead me. I've always known, almost literally from day one, my earliest memories, the path that I was going to take. And it was one I wanted to take. I didn't think I was supposed to take it. As Garry has mentioned, there have been people in my life who have said, okay, I go to school, I graduate, I get a job, I get married, I get a life, et cetera, et cetera. And I've been sucked into that, that type of environment, which is toxic. And so I'm lucky to have not be in that anymore. So some days I feel like I have a purpose and direction, and others, like today, I get up, make coffee, take care of however many dogs are happen to be up at that time. I have 3. And then I sit and I have a bit of time to myself, and I have to admit I cry. And I have a little bit of an overwhelmed at how kind of groundhog-esque of a day that lies in front of me. I'm sure we've all experienced this, not only because of the pandemic, but also just kind of because of the way things that are going on in the world. And Garry was mentioning how profoundly he'd been impacted by George Floyd's death. And there's just a lot of those stories that you just get up and you're like, oh my goodness, where are we going? What are we doing? How do I make my way? And then I tell myself I give myself a little bit of time, and then I pull it together and I say, stop, move on. And I reinforce the rest of my story and really try not to dwell on where I am. I do realize that I'm better than a lot of people at the moment, and for that I'm thankful. I recognize that. My downer thought this morning is that this is not where I am currently, is not where I thought I would be the day after my 44th birthday. And that just kind of, you know, the realization that today is another day and I'm another year older, and I look around and not much has changed for the past 7 months. But at the same time, a lot has changed. So as I sat down yesterday morning to kind of dump some of what was in my head and make space for this challenge, I was reminded of a few things. So my pledge is to document 44 days of gratitude. And day by day, I'm not going to do a blanket, 44. It's going to happen on a daily basis and report out in a couple of months. I already have my accountability system set up, and we'll see where it takes me. So day 1, which was yesterday, is harmony. The business my husband and I co-founded about 2.5 years ago was hit pretty hard by the pandemic. So I can't add to have a job to this list. But I can say that I'm grateful for the opportunities that have arisen during the past 6 months, and that likely I wouldn't have had available or wouldn't been aware of had the pandemic and the job loss not occurred. Well, this has been a tumultuous time, and the jobs of both my husband and myself have been affected. If I let it go and just be and put one foot in front of the other, there's a level of increased harmony that I start to feel that doesn't exist so much if I actually try. It's It's like trying to think about something or remembering something, and the harder I try, the less it's possible. In fact, sometimes I'll even forget why I was trying to think, what I was trying to think about, and I can't even get into the layer beneath that topic. Sometimes you just get so blocked with what's going on at the surface. I liken it to writer's block for me. The more I try to write, the less likely I'm able to. And if I just let things go, my thoughts flow. When I attend my webinars or my professional development, or I follow up with panelists after calls like this, or participants, and I add them to my LinkedIn network, and then I start to reach out and connect, or I write a blog or an article, it just happens. It's organic. And that's kind of more of the things that I need to try to let go and let surface. As an aspiring novelist, I also liken this to the experience I've encountered once characters start writing themselves. I'd always heard about this, and always wondered what it meant. But after just letting things go and letting your mind free, the characters literally do take on a life of their own on the written page. And so I've kind of started to experience this probably within the last few weeks, if I just pay attention to it. Day 2, which is today, are opportunities. So since my family and I lost our primary income in March, I have a series of things that have occurred, which are, again, as I mentioned, wouldn't have happened without Andrea first setting the ball in motion. Literally everything that follows started with Andrea. I received my first certification in my field. I've attended more than 100 hours of professional development, networking, and other virtual events as part of my continuing education and steps toward a second certification. And thanks to Andrea, I've connected with a great group of people, and more on this call, but it started with Humans First, as many of us have, and most of you are on the call. And what follows from that is a domino effect. Had it not been for the Humans First call, I would never have met Chris Berryman. If I hadn't met Chris, I wouldn't have reached out to him after being in a couple of breakout sessions and saying, this is a person I need to meet, I need to connect with. Not knowing anything about him, just his presence. And now that I've done it, he's such an amazing person. As a result of connecting with Chris, I've been involved with Conversations for Humanity and Bringing Humanity Together, which are 2 of his initiatives, which are incredible. If you haven't had a chance or an opportunity to connect with Chris or find out about those, I urge you to. I'm blessed to be able to co-host weekly sessions with Chris. And as a result of connecting with him and being a part of Conversations for Humanity, I've connected with Dennis Picotto with Biz Catalyst 360, for which I'm now a regular featured contributor. And that is such an amazing connection. I can't even, I mean, that's a whole other 7 to 10 minutes. But I'm blessed to be in that environment. As a result of that, I've made wonderful connections and now been a part of the Friendship Bench, which is one of the initiatives that that Dennis and his team with Melissa and Mike again carry on, and it's again just another amazing group of individuals with incredible stories. And as a result of all of those, I've connected with amazing, incredible people, and they're powerful. So as a result of all that, I feel that I'm very blessed and I'm very lucky, and none of this would have happened had some of these events not occurred in our life right now. So when all of this settles down and we have a new normal, and I'm not crazy about the phrase new normal, but we all know what that means. What's gonna be your greatest accomplishment? Are these events going to be something that you look back on and you make those connections? Or is it just going to be something that you're going to go back to the way things were, or as close to what you can, because we're creatures of habit and we like security. We don't like change. We don't like being uncomfortable. So how are you going to capitalize on this time? What's it going to do for you? So these are some questions that I would pose to you. And so what is your it? What does this mean for you? What's the one thing that you've really taken out of this event that means something to you that you're going to carry forward? Being daring is also something else that's come out of this for me. Dare to be brave, dare to be courageous, dare to be authentic and transparent and innovative. Dare to create and explore and learn and inspire. Dare to teach and think differently. All of these things I've experienced quite profoundly in the past 7 months. And I've also learned that we need to have patience and empathy and compassion, and to remove assumptions, boxes, and biases like many of the other panelists have spoken about. And again, it starts with us. Our experiences and the outcomes, and those outcomes shape our opinions and develop truths about what works for us. And so we repeat them with regular cadence. One of my really good friends, who's also a great part of my support group, recently said, we have a front, and again, I'm getting goosebumps. So to kind of Chance's point about things that we think that just really impact us so profoundly. We have a front row seat to a compelling time in history. The disruptions we're witnessing and creating are hours out of which to mold new and different ways and things. We've always done it that way, she said. It's no longer something we can say because we haven't been doing it that way for months. And we know more effective and efficient ways to operate exist. We've evolved in our thinking and have experienced what we once thought was unthinkable, and we simply cannot go back. We can only go forward. The way we lived, the things we did, the places we went will never again be as we knew it. We need to admit, accept, embrace that nugget of truth and move on. And all of that is okay. We can do it at our own speed. It starts by changing our view, looking at the world differently. And as I'm coming up to my conclusion, I realized, so I've made notes. If you can't tell, I'm kind of one of those really organized people. I kind of have to sit and process and figure things out. I have to have a path. I like structure. And as I was doing this, I was cutting and pasting from various things, and my last formatting job was going to be to convert everything to the same font, the same size. And as I was doing that, this last section I highlighted happened to be in Karma font. So I left it like that. But this year has taught us that we need to be forgiving of ourselves and each other, as well as be patient and understanding. And my friend very profoundly also said, we need to stop waiting to get back to normal. We have a new normal, we're evolving. And I, my friend, and I also believe this, said, I choose to believe we are evolving into something ultimately better. Like a piece of sand in an oyster, it's an irritant that creates something beautiful. So we have a tendency, again, like Garry said, to let the world, and I'm certainly guilty of this, and I am very much a work in progress. We let the world influence us way more, I think, than what, we give it more control, I think, than what we should. We need to take control of ourselves and of our lives and our relationships. And I think if we do that, we'll find that we can really control the world a little more than what we think. We happen to the world and each other, and not the other way around. Chris and Roger and Chris Berryman, Chance, those are all people I know. I've heard their stories and I see them now, and they happened to the world at the end of the day. So I would just like to leave it there and thank everyone on the call. And Andrea, once again, I appreciate and love you so very much. You mean the world to me. Thanks. I made it without crying.
Oh my goodness. I am so proud of you. Did you?
That's the scariest thing I think I have ever done, Andrea. I love you, but don't ever ask me to do that.
It's only the beginning, Monique. You'll see.
You realize what you just did?
No, but look at my napkin. I twisted it into a little ball.
You're funny.
I'm so proud of you.
Excellent.
Yes, I'm so proud of you. Thank you for those beautiful words, for being raw, for being real, for having the courage to do that. And I hope it's given you some sense of freedom as well. I know my very first time, and I still struggle with it, is I just felt a little bit more free after letting it out. And you have no idea how many things you said that I can completely connect with. I love that you're doing that challenge for yourself, and you even sharing the journaling with us. I mean, that's like advanced authenticity right there. You go. You did great. I'm very proud of you. Honored. Love you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Last but not least, this has got to be my most favorite couple, among my favorite couple in the world. They always make me smile. They don't have to say a word. They just always make me smile, whether it's through their social media post, whether it's just being on camera and just being their presence. I mean, they're so deep and soulful, and I was very lucky to connect with them again, so a combination through Humans First, but also Oleg, who's not here, but hopefully he'll be a speaker in a future one. His defying odds community, but Linda and Terry. I happened to meet Terry first, and I didn't know there was another fabulous soul that happened to be his wife that was right around the corner, and he connected me to her, and they God, they just bounce off each other with their vibe and their energy, and they just make you think differently. They challenge you, but at the same time they are so completely open and such great listeners, and see you for who you are, and also call you out on things. So I love that about them. They have tremendous stories, tremendous words of wisdom. They have been huge supporters, and I'm so grateful for them. So I leave you with the power couple. First, we're going to hear from Terry, and then we're going to hear from Linda. Thank you for being here.
So sweet. Thank you.
Wow.
I know, right?
I'm going to ask all of you a question. How do you follow those wonderful people? Huh?
Right?
Oh my God.
Thank you,
My
everyone.
heart's been cranking all out of sync here. What a beautiful thing. Andrea, there's not enough words for you today. You're a blessing.
Very much so.
Most of you know me, some of you don't. I can very easily speak 3 or 4 hours without taking a breath. Not today. Today we're going to talk about a lost man. A lost man. When I retired from the US Navy in 1991, I like to say late last century, sounds more fun. I was lost. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know where I was going to go, what I was going to do, nothing. Had some ideas. And I bounced in and out of a lot of careers and a lot of jobs. 17 of them in 11 years, to give you an idea. And it all culminated with leaving my first wife after 33 years and finding someone who I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with, figuring that out, that's not going to happen. Have no job at the point, late 2009. I was just done with life, completely done. So I lived in a 28-story condo building at the time with my then girlfriend. So I went up on the roof, get some air one afternoon. And I found myself at the edge at the safety retainer wall. And I was very calm, no anxiety, no crying, no nothing. I was done. I crawled over that wall and stood on the edge. I was ready to take the last step. My daughter will get over it. Sorry to embarrass my girlfriend committing suicide in her building. But that was it. Okay? That was it. I was done. And then you can identify this any way that you want to. A spiritual intervention, calm, crazy man listening to voices in his head, whatever you like to is fine. But I clearly, there's no wind, there's nothing to push me over or keep me on. I heard, turn around, I have work for you. And I turned around as if somebody I knew very much and trusted just said that to me, and it was standing beside me. I turned around, crawled over that wall, and I never went back on that roof. Within a few months, my journey in life and my reason for being here all came to open and came to me. And since that time, in 2009, I broke up with that girl, that woman, and moved on, met and married in 2.5 weeks, this person here. And we've never looked back in our relationship. But more importantly, just a few months later, helping somebody, because I've always been a helper. My classmates in high school used to call me Doc Nick. If you got any problems, go talk to Nick Nichols, because he can help you. I never wanted to be a psychiatrist or anything like that. It's just, that's the way it was. So very long story short, like I say, 2-3 hours is not a problem. I was helping a person and I created something that stops PTSD, suicide ideation, all those kinds of things. And we've developed them over the last decade. My message here today is I found something inside of me that I could give and give and give, and it would come back to me many, many, many times over. There are a number of you that are here today that I send blessings out to because you're wonderful people. And you have sent that love back to me without pointing everybody in here. Take a few minutes. But here's key, you know, you can't give what you don't have. So if you really want to get love from somebody or from the world, you got to start loving yourself. You got to be that inner peace, that I love me. I am me. I'm not a human being. I'm a person. I'm a people. I have a name. I have beliefs. Whether you like them or not, that's up to you, not up to me. I am not a dancer and I'm not a puppet. I am just me. And I'm kind and I do nice things for people. Some of you here today know that. And you give it back to me. Well, here's what a lot of people don't understand about that analogy. You give love out to a person, they will give it back to you. And they will give it back to somebody else, who's somebody else. And then you give it to another person and another person. Pretty soon, all these people are giving you love back. And you start to feel it. You become that real person that you're destined here to be. For me, my awakening was I'm on a mission of world peace in this life as a Native American man. And I identify with being a peace man, not an American Native, not an Irish American, not a man. I am a person just like all of you. And some days suck and some days are a lot of fun. But that's part of the journey, because a journey has no guided tours. Okay, we're all on a journey, and some days it's going to be raining and some days it's going to be lovely. But it's just another day. And once you get that peace inside of you and you start giving it freely, because if you can be anything, be kind. All of you have heard that from me more than one time. And don't take any grief. I like to say, be kind, but don't take any shit. You know, respect yourself. Because if you have love for yourself, you do respect yourself. It's those times when the love gets a little harder to find inside that makes a difference. And then you look around and all those people you gave love to, they start showing up, like most of you today. Just by seeing your faces, lit me up, raised me up in my chair before any of you even spoke. Just the presence of you. Because presence is the point where manifestation becomes action. When something manifests, it becomes to light in your mind or around you or in your physical presence. And once you're present, there's nothing holding you back from going in the future. So presence is a point where manifestation becomes action. I bless you all today. I'm just so honored to be here. Andrea, you're just such a cool girl. Now I'll pass it over to the other half of the gang here.
With the cloggy voice. Wow, thank you. Yeah, so he gets knee to knee with me and says that he saw me at a peace meditation, and when he saw me, he wanted to scoop me up in his arms and tell me, "You're mine and marry me." I said, "You want to marry me? When do you want to marry me?" And he said, "In a week and a half, 2 weeks, take your time." And I did make him wait an extra week. So, we have the Josie and Oprah story, and Josie and Oprah actually only waited a week before they were married. So there's another power couple out there, Andrea. I don't think you've met Oprah yet. But they show up on the Asia Humans First call. So I'm the daughter of an Army paratrooper who did lose his life to suicide. So I'm very grateful for Terry's story that it turned out different. And one of the things that I really believe about kindness is that it's not something that you do, it's just an essence, and it's something that just happens. And all my life I've wanted to make sense of things, and I do that. I do that for myself, and I do that for others. And I was president of the women's group at a church in my former marriage, which I had been married 33 years too, so that's like weird. Anyways, and she didn't seem like she liked me. And I couldn't figure it out. Like, what is the deal? And the more I reached out to her, the more she pulled back. And it's like, oh. So one day I just invited her over for lunch. And she's like, why? I was like, well, so we could maybe get to know each other better. And she's like, all right. Okay. So she came over for lunch, and my background, like Michelle and Chris, is special education. And she opened up, and she told me that she had a child that they really didn't think was going to have much of a life. It probably would be a short life, and that she really should give that child up and put it into a foster situation. And she did. And she thought that I would think lowly of her for doing that, because after all, my background special ed, so I would have like kept that child and worked with that child and done the best for that child. And her child did die at age 3, and she carried such deep guilt from that experience. And it was so beautiful to me to know that I reached out to her, and she had such a story that she hadn't been brave enough to release to anybody. So it's kind of amazing what that essence of kindness can do for others. And just so you know, Monique, I'm crying for you. I'll do the crying today. I was looking through some quotes of mine, and here's one I found that I thought might be appropriate for today. I find that the more we love ourselves and follow our hearts, the less discipline is necessary, and we live in true humility and kindness rather than forced humility or fake kindness. Gratitude comes from a happy heart, even when things aren't going our way. A happy heart comes from the willingness to let go. So Terry and I were at the grocery store when COVID was just really ramping up, and they might be putting barricades up, and only the store workers were going to get through the barricades, blah, blah, blah. And we happened to be at the customer service desk, and the customer service gal, whose manager, said, I just want you guys to know that, how did she say it to us? Do you remember the exact words?
Don't worry about not getting into the store. You call me here at the store and give me your list, and I'll run it and put the bags together, and you can either pick it up or
No, she said she'd bring it right to our door.
And bring it to your door. And it just took us aback.
Because I like you guys so much. You guys just light up the store when you walk in, and we're just like, what? Like, we didn't even know this person. Then we go over to the restaurant, I don't know, a month later, and a waitress we didn't know was seating us, and another waitress we did know, but we had only like been waiting on her maybe twice. And she goes, do you know who these people are? And the waitress that was waiting on us goes, no. She goes, these are my favorite customers. And we're like, what? You know? So it's not something that you do. Kindness is just an essence, and connecting with others soul to soul, and seeing the potential that everyone has.
Seeing people as people, right? Mm-hmm. Not us and them. People as people. You know, the bagger at the checkout, all of them. Talk to them like they matter, and they light up. Mm-hmm. The manager at the store, we could just, oh my God, where do you go with that?
Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much for asking us to be here, Andrea. It's very special. I'm glad we were able to do this with you.
So who else loves Linda and Terry now? Who wants to join the fan club? That was beautiful. Thank you. I always love to hear your stories. I could hear them for hours and hours and hours. So I appreciate you guys a lot. You are family.
Feel the same.
So, wow. So I'm blown away. I just look at my notes and like going crazy. So even though I'm recording this, I still take notes because that's how I roll. But just so much. I mean, it really does feel like you guys all rehearsed together, but it's so much like I started when I started, is we have so much more in common than we have different. I mean, look at our messages. We all have these incredible different backgrounds, but it's all going to the core of, it starts with you. You are, to your point, I love kindness as an essence. You are the essence of kindness, and you're not realizing it when you are spreading that essence. You may not ever realize who's caught on to that essence ever in your life, but because of you, and to Monique's words, because of this, I met this person, and because of this person, I met that person, and because of that person, I got this opportunity. I mean, isn't that crazy to think? I mean, just think back of something maybe kind that you've done this week or last month, or even by sharing your story today. You may never know. I'm just going to call out Jennifer. You know, she may have gotten something out of it. She shares it with someone else, and because of that, someone else had the courage to do some other thing, and because they did that some other thing, it meant the life to someone. I mean, it's crazy. So I mean, that's, if anything, you guys are all a gift to me today, because it kind of solidified why I do this. I don't care if one person, 5 people, 20, 50, whatever show up, but dang, this is powerful. I'm completely touched. So I want to open it up. I want to open it up to, did I miss Chance's daughters? Someone's putting that, Chance, your daughters are beautiful. Oh my goodness. Now we have to see them. Oh, hi.
All right, go ahead. Sit.
What's your name?
My name's Freya. My name is Ingrid.
Freya and Ingrid.
Oh my goodness. Are those unicorn ear
Unicorn
headphones?
headphones.
Dang, those are cool.
We have unicorns coming out of places I didn't know they could get.
I
All right,
love-
you guys head out of here.
Pew pew. Bye.
Yeah, pew
Thank
pew.
you. Bye.
Bye.
So-
If anyone has any guests that we need to say hello to, feel free. Even furry creatures, that's cool too. So I was gonna say, does anyone have? Let's open it up. Feel free and unmute yourself. But does anyone have any questions to any of our speakers, or any follow-ups, or any just comments of what they've heard today? Something specific that really spoke to them? Does anyone want to share anything?
Come on.
Joy?
I'll say something. I forget which speaker commented and said, maybe it was you, Andrea, that I think it was you, that we all want to belong. And that was the core wound in me, that my sister sassed a litany at me. Mom and Dad put you back in the hospital because you cried too much. Then they got the wrong baby back. You really don't belong in our family. And I had that in me for over 50 years. So words are completely powerful. And
Wow. Thank you for sharing that, Joy. You certainly do belong. We all do. I came to that realization. It was hard for me to come to that realization as well, because I've always felt like an outsider myself, but we all do. Thank you for sharing. Love your family member, Garry. What's his name? We need to give him some airtime as well. Oh, we can't hear you, Garry.
Okay, so this is Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Cockapoo.
Oh my God.
beautiful.
That's so cute.
She's a little bit, yeah, she's 11 weeks old, completely bonkers. And my first child. Oh, look at that love. Look at that love right now. Look, are you looking at me?
Oh,
She's gorgeous. But Joy, thank you for your comment. That's very, very moving. So thank you.
Does anyone else have any other comments?
So I have a totally random comment.
Janine?
It goes back to chance, and I don't know why it struck me, but you're going about how everybody does stuff with your name. So I have my notepad here and just doodling and taking notes, right? So it just came to mind. I was playing with your name, and so I have choose humbling actions now, change every day. So I kind of took the letters of your name and made the little phrase there, but just sharing that with you.
Wow.
Random thought.
Thank you for sharing it with me.
I love
Say,
that.
say it one more time, Deneen.
Choose humbling actions
Come here, dude.
now, change every day.
Nice.
That's really cool. Can you do that with all our names?
I could try. Might take a little while.
I'm just kidding. Chance, you have another guest.
Yeah, Odin decided if the sisters made it, he's got to make it too. Can you say hi?
Hello.
Right up there, say hi.
Hi.
Yeah, Batman. They see Batman.
Very cool. How old are you? 3. Wow.
Two.
Oh, 2. 2.
Yeah. I didn't even know that he knew the number 3, so we're doing good.
Mama.
Yeah, okay,
Aw.
Batman. Let's get you out of here.
Aw. Bye. So, anyone else have any comments?
I don't have a specific comment, Andrea, but I'll just mention, and just you know, it amazes me each time, you know, the richness that's here, and you know, I just want to recognize you for bringing this group together, and then everyone who shared today. I mean, it just you know, obviously I've been a part of Humans First for a long time, and you know, you you think you got, oh yeah, it's just going to be another one of those, but I mean, it's not just another one of those. You know, and the richness that's here, and there's a lot of notes I've made for myself and a lot of resonance with, you know, what I've been feeling. But you know, I just appreciate you for creating the space where people feel like they can say yes and show up and, you know, speak for the first time. You know, it's something where, you know, I think you know, we take that for granted, but the power of that is just as well as, you know, we can't, you know, I could listen to Garry speak for days because, you know, he's just, he's good at it. And, you know, and it's just been that way since I met him, you know, the first time a long time ago. But, you know, but to hear Monique's story, I mean, it, you know, entranced me in a way that, you know, I was listening to every word in a way that it was, you know, there was a realness there. So just thank you all for doing that. And thank you, Andrew, for making it possible, because, you know, I would show up just to talk to you. So if you're ever worried about, you know, this thing not going off, you know, besides the guests, you know, I will do my best to be here every week.
Can't hear you, Andrea.
Yeah, you might have to type it in the chat.
This is where we sing happy birthday.
This is that awkward silence they tell us about.
Learn to embrace that. Guess it's just because I'm awkward.
This really does feel like the Brady Bunch.
Yeah. So we're going into breakout rooms to introduce each other, share how it happened.
Wow, how did you oh, I can read. I was like, Quinn, how did you know that? You're a great lip reader.
We are connected. Yes, that would be a great idea. Thank you, Andrew.
21.
5 rooms. Good to see you, Garry. Cheers. Fun with the puppy.
Thank you, everyone. It was amazing, Andrea. Nice
It's
to meet
good
you
seeing
all.
you,
Let's connect.
Garry.
Have a great weekend. Much love, everyone.
Cheers, mate.
Anything I can help you with there, Andrea? Last time I saw you move your computer or whatever you're on just a little bit, I saw it work. I wonder if you need to jiggle that handle. Yeah, nothing. Yeah, I did. I was just making sure if you needed any help real quick.
Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello.
We're back in our unbreakout room. You're still on mute.
The power of Zoom.
There you
Yes,
go.
there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Oh, I was gonna say, you guys are messing with me.
So Andrea, yeah, just give me the details and everything, and I will be so honored and humbled for the opportunity to do that. Absolutely.
Cool. So the next one happens to be on Halloween, October 31st. So I don't know.
I have no issues with Halloween. There's nothing scary about that.
Maybe we can come in costume.
I was gonna say you got to wear a costume.
I can do that. I actually have a Darth Vader costume that I actually did for
Oh,
Halloween.
that would be so fun. Hello, welcome back. You got transported back. I forgot to give you a heads up and warning that that's going to happen. And it's sometimes very awkward, but thank you. I hope you had a fun time. We were talking about how the next rally, it's always the last Saturday of each month, takes place on Halloween, October 31st. So maybe we'll
Please
get
tell
our
me
speakers.
it's a dress up rally.
Sorry?
Please tell me it's a dress up rally.
Well,
Yes.
Gary,
Yeah.
Chris
Yes,
is talking
I
totally.
about
think
he
it's going
will
to
in
be now
costume.
that everyone wants to, and Chris volunteered to be a speaker, and he's going to come in a costume. So that's perfect.
Can't take Chris seriously if he has a costume on.
Great. Well, that might, yeah, perfect. So we only have a few minutes left, but how were those conversations? Did you meet someone new? Did you?
It's Bat Chance.
No big deal. I got kids. I'm ready to drop of a hat.
Oh my God, I just missed it. Okay.
Okay, no, Quinn, you just said Bat Chance. Chance.
No, that don't count. No.
Is that
That's
not
a
a
proper
PS?
name.
I was wondering what
Sure
that
counts.
was.
I think that totally counts. That's perfect.
Well,
I
then
say you
unfortunately,
owe Quinn
my-
a beer.
For that, I'll second that.
Vente ma Pierre.
You owe him a
two-year-old
beer.
does
Yep.
that. Okay,
Oh my
fine.
God.
Only because it's Quinn.
Yes.
You broke
High
the
five.
Holding you to
year
it.
spell.
Thank
High
you.
five,
Yeah.
Quinn. Good
Yeah.
job.
That is awesome. So you're in for next time, Chance. Awesome. Great. You have a costume already.
I have a Wonder Woman one too. I mean, we can
Oh.
make this weird.
Whoa.
It's not mine, but
Well, I'll let you decide which one you want to use.
Zero judgment. You wear whatever costume you want to wear.
It's a safe space.
Yeah.
whatever makes you
You
feel
just
powerful,
gotta
right?
strut. If you're wearing it, you gotta strut. Monologue.
I'll come as Captain Marvel.
There you
There we
go.
I'll come as Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think we all know who Chris is going to be.
Thank you guys so much for being here. It's a whole 2 hours of your weekend, but I really, really appreciate you guys, really. And for sharing your story, for being real. And I really hope to see you again. If you can, spread the word. But know that you're always welcome the last Saturday of each month. Does anyone have any closing or last remarks you want to share?
I actually do, Andrea. Thank you so much for putting this call on and really having a great and engaging conversation about kindness and being worthy and everything like that. I have to give a shout out to Monique. She is such a great human being. I am so blessed and honored to have her not only in my life, but also being the great co-host with the most who can break down the internet at any time of day and night, because she has been a great resource for me in bringing not only conversations for humanity to fruition, but also lifted me up in such a great human and honorable way that I just can't say beyond words. And I'm so thankful for everyone else on this call, more importantly, too, as well. Thank you, Quinn. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Chance. Thank you, Ed, and everyone else, because like I said, it's what's truly all about. It's about truly interconnecting with each other and really bringing humanity together, and more importantly, to truly connect with those who really want to be on that one voice, one vision, one mission, and we all can be a part of that. And I think this is a great time, none other in the likes of what human history has seen, that we can really do that. And like I said, I'm so grateful and honored to be a part of this community. And like I said, however I can help and serve each and every single one of you, please let me know. Because it's all about becoming a part of something bigger than ourselves, and I truly believe in that. So thank you all, and I greatly appreciate it. And Monique, thank you so much, and there's so much more yet to come, and I can see great things for all of us here today.
Thank you, Chris. I made it through my entire presentation without crying, and now you've made me do that, so I appreciate that.
Well, you're welcome, because, I have sometimes that effect with people, and you never know. It might be just because of the goosebumps. Who knows?
Here's a joy.
Oh, yes, for sure. Yeah.
Thank you for all the awesome speakers today. I'm blown away, but you just said, yes, sure, I would love to be there. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Because sometimes I invite people and I respect them and they're not ready to share their story, but every single one of you said yes, right away. No questions asked. I didn't even ask you what you needed to do. So I really, really, means a lot.
Because we trust you, Andrea. That's why.
Thank you. I loved everything I hear. I love these. If anything, selfishly, this is what I need every month. So thank you for fueling me. Okay, we're right on the dot. So get your costume ideas ready, because it's going to be a fun one next time. And if you're curious or want to be a speaker in a future one, please let me know. Or if you know anyone that would like to, I would love to have them. Bye, guys. Have a good weekend.
Bye, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.